Okay, Grandma Sheri, Mommy, you know her, you've met her. I just have random stories through her. Number one, when we were dating, I don't know how this started, but probably I found a picture frame, and it was like a little plexiglass or plastic thingy, and it came down at an angle, and then there was like a little base for to stand it up. And within the area where you would stick a photo, it said the pic, P-I-C. I don't know why. We started exchanging the pic. And exchanging, we would have it show up in the other person's place that they least expected it. And I mean, we found ways into each other's cars and just, you name it, it was nuts. We have a wedding picture holding the pic. Sheri wasn't always poopy to me. She knew I was madly in love with Stevie Nicks, she of Fleetwood Mac fame. One year for Christmas, my darling Sheri gave me a VHS tape of 10 Stevie Nicks songs, dancing around. Oh, might be the best Christmas present I ever got. When we would go out, believe it or not, we used to go dancing. Me. Ooh. And a popular song back in those days was Shout. Or let me hear you say, shout, shout. So we would sing to that song, and eventually we'd end up on our backs, flailing our arms and legs. And I don't know why, but of course we ended up with that being not the first song at our wedding reception, but right up there. We got engaged in Pioneers Park in Lincoln, and there was a statue of a big Indian that was kind of locally famous, and I thought that'd be a good place to get engaged, so we went out to do that. Well, it was muddy. It had rained, or it was early spring or whatever, but it was a quagmire. We put on like galoshes, rubber boots, to walk up there and get engaged. And Sheri got screwed on the engagement deal because Fifi got engaged to me in a hot air balloon over Seattle, and Cindy got engaged to me on the ice at Rockefeller Plaza. Sheri? Boots. We wanted to buy a house like everybody does, and I worked nights at Target to build up some bucks for a down payment. We eventually bought the house. It was on North 61st Street in a less than desirable part of town, but we could afford it barely. We paid $34,500. It was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 1-car garage house, palatial. And that's where Adam lived. Sheri, I mean, she insulted me regularly. She used to call me Pills. Back in those days, I doubt Davis and Kari, for instance, would have ever even seen this commercial. Ryan and Eric and La, you may have never seen it, but anyway, they had something called the Pillsbury Doughboy. He was in Ghostbusters. Pillsbury Doughboy, and the commercial included a part where somebody took their finger, we'll assume this is my gut, and pushed it into the Pillsbury Doughboy, and he went, well, she frickin' called me Pills. It's like I didn't have a real name. So, and that probably happened in her early to mid-30s. So apparently I've always been a fat ass. I don't know. That really hurt me. Oh, I'm over it. Sheri and I did a little bit of traveling. Now, this will be shocking to you. The first Alaska cruise we took, and if you haven't heard this story, I don't know where you've been hiding, but I'll tell it anyway. First time we went to Alaska, we were 28 years old and we didn't have 2 nickels. And we decided to go on a cruise. All we could afford was a cabin with bunk beds. Yes, bunk beds. $600 for a 10-day cruise plus air. Bunk beds. The great story is I was about 25th in line to get lined up for dinner, and they had an early seating at 5:30 and a later one at 7:30. And no big advantage to one or the other. They get through 23 of the 25. The guy in front of me is like in his 80s. And he gets up there and he says, I want to be seated at a table for 8 or 10 in the late seating. And Luigi was the maitre d'. Luigi and his right-hand man went back and forth in Italian for a little bit. And he came back to the guy, and Luigi says, Sir, I'm so sorry, but you're late to getting your dinner reservation, and we simply don't have anything like what you described. The guy exploded. This was classic. He says, I've been married to that woman for 60 years. I'll be damned if I'm gonna sit across from her at a table for 2 for 10 nights. I love. Then he launches into, I've been a travel agent for 50 years and I have never been treated like this. Rant rave. Luigi goes back, talks to his right-hand man, and comes back and says, oh, what do you know, we found one. And the guy goes off fuming. I'm next. And I get up to Luigi, and it goes like this. Luigi, after that display, put me anywhere you want to. Luigi goes and talks to the right-hand man. He comes back and says, Mr. Dawson, would you like to sit at the captain's table? Now, I'm an idiot. I know nothing about this. So I go, I don't know, Luigi. Would I? And Luigi bursts into laughter. And he goes, trust me, Mr. Dawson, you want to sit at the captain's table. The first night, we go down for dinner. There's another 30-year-old couple, another 30-year-old couple, and a 40-year-old couple. 15 minutes into the warm-up stuff, bread, whatever, a dude comes down in the formal Navy attire, and he says, the captain sends his regrets with getting underway and yada yada. He has duties on the bridge and won't be able to make it. Well, we were all kind of bummed because we thought, shit, we were going to be at the captain's table, we got our shot, and now we're screwed. Until breakfast. And we sit down, and here comes the friggin' captain